Hello, in this video I'm going to be talking about work-life balance. First off, apologies for the horrendous lighting that is currently on my face. Um, I'm sat by a window in the daytime, and obviously normally I do these videos at night where there's lovely soft lighting from my lack of bright lights. Anyway, work-life balance. So I wanted to talk about this for my own reasons, really, in the sense of I feel I'm at a point in my life where work is again intruding on my life. And I've gone through various different stages of my life with various different jobs where I have had better balance than what I've probably currently got now. Although, having said that, I think it's more attitudes towards it and changes in kind of lifestyle that's the reason for the changes. So I kind of wanted to reflect on it more for myself, really, to kind of think, am I doing the right thing in my approach to it at the minute, or should I really kind of think more about what I'm doing? So in the past, because there's a lot of kind of discussion about work-life balance in the media, videos and all kinds of things like that, advice, self-help, whatever, you kind of get this impression that you should work when you're at work and you should life when you're outside of work, and that the two are kind of like a balancing act and they're separate. So I very much compartmentalized my time, and I was a very good employee. So when I was basically from waking up in the morning, I would get myself ready for work, I would drive to work, I would be thinking about work the whole time. I would get to work, I would work the entire day. I don't have a job where I can be on my phone. So I never looked at my phone. I never kind of checked in with friends or family or anything like that during the work day. If I had kind of life admin to do, I would always leave it until I'd finish work at the end. And actually, I wasn't finishing work at the time that I should be finishing work. I was often staying later to get the tasks done that need to be done immediately for that day or, within the near future. So I very much compartmentalized it. And I suppose in a way, that works because you can then switch off from work and then you can have your life, and it kind of makes it easy to flip from one to the other. But is that healthy to do that? Because you're basically giving most of your life away to your job, and then that's where the dissatisfaction and the resentment starts to happen because you haven't got that kind of balance. Like, you're balancing in terms of like you're one and then the other. It's a very black and white way of looking at it, but it's not balanced in terms of what could be achieved. So for example, on my way to work on Friday, I booked music tickets for a gig that I like the look of that's happening in September. On my way to work on Monday, I booked a present for somebody. There's an occasion coming up. That's being sent to them. So I was kind of like sorting life admin stuff out in the morning, which is not something that I would normally do. But it was great because it's like, oh, I've ticked something off that's my life admin stuff, and then I don't have to do that when I get home. And I feel like that's a little bit more balanced. And I see my other kind of colleagues like taking personal phone calls during the day and almost kind of like on their phones during the day doing other things. And I think, oh, maybe that is a better way to balance. I think for me, because in my job I have a lot of kind of cognitive overload, my compartmentalization was as a strategy to kind of keep that at a minimum. Like I've got lots of things to do at work. I don't then want to be thinking of all the things that I want to do at home as well. Like, it's too much to have all at once. And when things happen, like for example, when my fridge broke and I had to get that sorted, or when my washing machine broke and I had to get that sorted, they all happened at the same time, as is typical. It was very stressful to be dealing with that whilst I was at work because I'm used to compartmentalizing. So I wonder if, that strategy of keeping it separate is actually more beneficial than less. But in terms of work-life balance, because I had this compartmentalization and I had this kind of view of I should be getting all my work done at work and then I should have my time up when I get home, it's easy for the work to kind of creep later and later into the evening. And I always try to stay at work to get my work done to keep that separation. So I was finding myself staying at work until 6, 7 o'clock at night, which obviously is not healthy because then when you get home, you have tea, you go to bed. You've not done anything for yourself when you get home, so your life is kind of on the back burner, and you don't have that balance then because you've got that compartmentalization. When I was in the previous role and my workload was so high that I needed to kind of be spending more time doing it than what was kind of, allowed in the job, it was creeping into my life and I was getting resentful because of this idea and this belief that work life should be equally balanced, or that you should have more life than work, I suppose. I feel like now my attitude towards that has changed a little bit because I've started a new job and I'm teaching things that I've not taught for a long time. I'm teaching other things that are brand new to me. I'm in a new environment. I'm working with people that are a bit younger, and so they don't have a developed prefrontal cortex to regulate their own emotions, so they can be very hostile, very rude. It can be very stressful to interact with them on a daily basis because there's a lack of respect, and there's a violation of human rights during those conversations, and it can take quite an emotional toll on you. My workload is trebled, as is standard when you kind of take on more responsibility. I find myself now bringing work home a lot more and spending time in evenings and at weekend. Like, one day of my weekend is spent working just to keep on top of the workload, and that's with the extra time that I'm doing during the week. And I said to myself when I first started the job, I needed to do that because it was new and I needed extra time to kind of do it. I was willing to sacrifice some of my time to kind of do the role because you have to do that. When you're brand new to something, you can't expect to spend as little time as what you did previously doing the same kind of job role. Not same job role, but what I mean is the job is harder because you've not done it before and you've not found your kind of rhythm yet in terms of how to do tasks and what's important and what's not important. And so you need to give yourself that adjustment period. And so in that case, you're going to be spending more time working than having a life. But that eventually should kind of ease off. I think what I'm finding is that I dedicated that time because in the past I hadn't done that and I'd burnt out, become, unwell because of that. I've dedicated that time now and then. I'm trying to have a life as well. But it's not really kind of getting easier. It's not kind of reducing in workload. It's just the same. And it's kind of a bit like, do I want to be in a job where I am continuously working? What I've kind of recognised about myself is that I do need a job. I do need something, and I don't mean that just for kind of like paying my bills and stuff. For my actual sanity, I need a job. I need something that's got tasks that I can be ticking off that don't being hit every time. Like, I do need that. I need that structure in my life. I'm more likely to do life stuff because I'm doing lots of work. Otherwise, I tend to just spend a lot of time on my own, just doing nothing in unstructured time because that's what I was used to when I was younger. It's like my default habit. And I'm not really living, I'm not really doing the things that I would normally do because I've not got that kind of opposition to, that antithesis. When you're working all the time, you make more effort to actually live your life and have something for yourself than what you would if you weren't working. And so it does provide you that kind of stimulus to be able to do that. It also, highlights a lot of your kind of flaws so that you know where to grow. Being exposed to things that are very difficult allows you to kind of reflect on that and think, oh, actually, I'm not skilled in that. I need to work on that. So it is very useful in that sense. You get a lot of socialization from work. There's lots of positives and why people spend so much of their time putting themselves into work. But I do think that the balance that I was thinking was balanced, so the kind of compartmentalization, the switching off, is probably not useful and healthy, and it needs to be more of a you don't have a hard and fast rule about when you work and when you don't work. It's more of a kind of a constant pivoting. It's like, oh, I've actually spent a bit too much time working now I'm going to spend more time on my life, and then I've spent quite a lot of time on my life and ready to do a little bit of work, and I find that works a lot better than just going, I'm not going to do any work at home. Or get really resentful about having to do work at home. The tasks that I'm doing are actually quite, I do like them. And so it's this kind of label of it being work that makes me resentful of it. But actually, if I reframe that and think of it of, I actually really enjoy doing this task. I actually get a lot out of doing this. I feel good after I've done this. So why then would I be resentful of having to do that in my lifetime because that's something that I'm actually enjoying? And I think in the past, when I first became a teacher, I actually really loved it. I really enjoyed it. And so I was never bothered about doing work outside of, the work hours I was being paid for because I was enjoying it so much. And I was like, I can't believe they paid me to do this job. It's so good. I enjoy it so much. I'm getting paid for doing things that I probably would have done as a student for nothing because I was doing, study instead. And so I suppose it's that reframing that kind of helps you have a bit more of a healthy attitude towards work. So I don't actually know where I'm, as usual with all my videos, I don't really know where I'm going with this. I think I just kind of wanted to talk about it and kind of see, what I'm going to do kind of going forward. I do feel like I'm spending a lot of time working, but then as I just said, I do enjoy doing the tasks that I'm doing. I feel good about myself for being effective in my job role. I get a lot of kind of self-esteem from my job really, which is not exactly healthy, but um, I'm very good at certain things, and you get that feedback quite regularly when you're in a job that is kind of suited to things that you're good at. Like I'm very good at organisation and efficiency, and making resources look nice, and like all these things that um, I am particularly good at. One thing that I did want to actually comment on as well was that how a change in life circumstances will affect your kind of perception on work-life balance in the respect of, I remember when I first became a teacher, I didn't really have any hobbies or any kind of interests that would take up a lot of my time. I used to be on social media a lot, which I'm not on at all anymore. And I used to, I still have profiles, but I never go on them apart from, I organise a group, so I've got to be on a Facebook group, and I'm in another group, so that's the reason why I've still got it. But yeah, I don't really have anybody on there, and the people that are on there, I don't scroll and look at their information, and you know, yeah, I've saved so much time from not being on it, and felt so much better in myself from not being on it as well, which is interesting. It's always something that I wanted to do and just never did. So I'm very glad that I kind of did that. And yeah, I didn't really have very many hobbies. Like like I said, I was on social media for a lot of the time. I'd watch TV, which I don't watch TV anymore, so that saved me a lot of time as well. And I wasn't really exercising. I flirted with the idea of running, so I'd run a few times. It maybe played a couple of squash games with it. I mean, basically, I lived with somebody who was very active and was very inspirational to me in thinking about what things that I would like to do. At the time as well, my best friend had broken up with a long-term boyfriend and discovered Meetup and shared that with me. And I ended up then going to lots of meetups, meeting lots of new people, going to a climbing group who were also doing a basketball weekly thing, and then there was a running club and I was part of the running club, and there was a volunteering club. It was just loads of different stuff that was right up my street, and really kind of, I started life drawing. There was loads of things that I started to do and to have a life, and that was the beginning of when I started to get resentful of work because it was stopping me from doing the things that I was enjoying and taking me away from that. And I wasn't like my best self when interacting with other people because I was stressed and things like that. So that was why I became kind of resentful. Like working late and then missing runs, and working late and missing, I had to work on an evening and I missed my life drawing, and just things like that where you think, I deserve to have a life and do the things that I want to do. But I was doing it in a sense of, not recognizing that actually you need to be flexible and you need to kind of, okay, yeah, you can do these things when you've got time, but if you want to be good at your job and you want to be successful in your job, you do have to kind of put that extra effort in. Then maybe the argument is, maybe they should pay you for more hours, like because you can't do the work in the hours that are set, but then the job is salaried. So, to be fair, and it's not like you're not being paid very well. So yeah, I feel like when you don't do much in your evenings, say for example you're a person who just comes home and watches TV all night, you're probably not going to be that bothered about doing work because it's just taking you away from a few TV programs. Like it's not a big deal, is it? But when it's taking you away from things that are noticeable when you don't do them. So for example, if I miss exercise, I'm particularly less good at exercising. In terms of like if I run, for example, and I don't run for a bit, then my run time's slower. It's noticeable, your body changes shape, things like that. you put weight on when you stop exercising because your exercising is keeping you at that stable weight. Um, Things like if I don't see friends, I mean, a lot of my friends meet up quite regularly. We go climbing together quite a lot, and do other things together. And I often miss it because I can't commit to seeing them more than once a week because I have other things that I do, and because often work takes up at least one, maybe two of the evenings, to the point where, and it's not just taking up the evening in terms of working, it's also you're so tired at the end of the day that you don't want to do anything, so you just stay in and do nothing. Like I might have dinner with my partner or whatever, but I'm not really doing anything. I could be doing something else. So it kind of takes away in that respect as well. And then I suppose, yeah, work takes a lot of your time away, really, doesn't it? I mean, if you think about it logically, like all the times that you're stressed and unhappy, and then the consequences of that in your relationships, and the time that it takes to repair those relationships, work takes a lot away from you. I suppose it's about having that kind of mindful attitude towards work in the sense of it is a job, you are getting satisfaction from the job, but it's not as important as giving yourself time. But then you still need to give yourself to work because you need to do well at it. It's just complicated, isn't it? It's a complicated situation to kind of decide what is the best thing to do, because I found that neither strategy works. So switching off and going, right, I've done my hours now and I'm not doing any more, you end up being incredibly stressed because you can't keep on top of your workload. If you do lots of time outside of work to keep on top of your workload, you're too stressed and then you can't do your job when you're at work, and also your relationships and your life suffers. So that's not a good strategy either. Can you see my black and white thinking? So it's like this middle road, this tightrope walking of when is appropriate to work and when's not. And the reason why I've made this video, actually, if I'm being completely truthful, is that I have some work to do now, but I also want to just sit and do nothing. And I'm on a strike day from work, so I should really be doing nothing, but I have stuff to do. So yeah, instead I thought I'd procrastinate with a video. I was actually going to do a video about something else. I can't remember what it was going to be about, but this is the one that came to fruition. So there you are. You're very welcome for my ramblings on work-life balance. I hope yours is much better than mine. See you on the next one.